everyone, welcome to another video. This is the Elevate Project. I'm Ryan, and I'm going to be talking about the RS3 Mini again because I've been doing a lot of client work with real estate, and I found that this has been a great tool to film real estate videos. Now, what is really trending right now, and I think is the future for real estate videography, is vertical content. And the RS3 Mini, I've done a few videos on the RS3 Mini already. This is not going to be a full review just yet. I've been using this for almost a month and a half, maybe even a little bit longer. But I've been using this since its release. And I've been loving this mode right here. And this is where you'd normally see a gimbal. You'd be using it in this landscape mode. And it is right now, let's go pan follow. It is balanced on the Sony ZV-E10. I typically do a lot of my real estate video on the Sony FX30, balances and is really used really well with a 24mm Sigma lens. However, I'm using that to record this video right now, so I'm not using it on the RS3 Mini. What I am using is the Sony ZV-E10 with the Sony 11mm f1.8. For a lot of my real estate videography, I use this lens specifically to get those wide shots. And what I found, a feature that the RS3 Mini has, is to shoot in vertical mode. And I think, and I know the way that things are trending, this is the future for real estate videography and other types of videography as we get into more Instagram Reels, TikTok, as we can see, is so popular, YouTube Shorts, and of course, Facebook. So I want to show how to get into vertical mode. I haven't done a video on that yet. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take the Sony ZV-E10 and show you how to put this into vertical mode, which I've been doing a lot lately for my clients. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is just going to put it in sleep mode. I'm putting it on this table because the table that this is here is unstable. So quick little tip, whenever you're balancing your gimbal, you want to have a very sturdy foundation. And what I'm going to do is turn the gimbal off, and I'm going to start locking the gears. So that's locked in place. And there is one thing that we'll note is this isn't the Arca Swiss plate that comes with the RS3 Mini. I'm just using one that actually fits. If you're interested, this one is a little bit smaller, which is amazing because I can move this with a lot of different tripods and move into the RS3 Mini. So if you're interested, I'll put that in the links below. This is Sony ZV-E10. And there are a few things that you can do. Depending on the weight of the camera, you don't have to take this arm off. However, I kind of would recommend that you do. This arm comes off by just pressing this button here, just on the very bottom of this arm. It releases. Just make sure this is on the unlock position. And then you have this plate, which is really cool. Is there is some symbols on here that shows you where the camera should be facing. And to release this is just the red lever, and then there's a button here, and it releases and detaches from this arm. Now with this plate, again, you can see there is a picture of a camera, so you want that facing outwards. And again, the red lever here, and there's a button here as well. So you press that button and you slide it into place, and you lock the red lever to keep it in place. So you take your camera, put it in vertical mode, just like you would. And again, I would recommend doing this on a stable, well, like I'm going to have to do here, is on a stable surface. Okay, once you have it in place, you want to go through the same steps to balance your gimbal. Just because you're putting it from landscape and it's balanced and you put it on vertical mode, you still will have to balance it. That's the only caveat or con doing it this way. There are other gimbals where you can do press one button and move it. However, you're going to be paying the price for that. RS3 Mini, it's pretty simple. And so I'm going to quickly rebalance this. Okay, so after a little fiddling around, we have this rebalance. I'm going to turn on the gimbal, make sure that all axes of the motors are unlocked. And let's turn on the gimbal. And what I always recommend is when you switch it from landscape to vertical, to quickly calibrate it as well. After probably each shoot or before each shoot when I'm filming, I do typically recalibrate. The auto tune works wonders. I'm at 80%, 100%, and I'm good to go. So that is vertical mode. What's really nice is you can really take some really spectacular shots when you're going through a home, really getting in and changing your lens and doing detail shots and really promoting it for that native resolution or that native aspect ratio for vertical 9:16. And the RS3 Mini does this absolutely flawlessly, wonderful. And this has really elevated my client work, my business when it comes to real estate videography. So if you are in the market, one of the things to look for, I would say, especially if you're going into real estate videography, is having a gimbal like the RS3 Mini to do vertical mode. Well, Ryan, if you're going to be doing vertical mode for Instagram or TikTok, it only takes a certain resolution. So even though you're filming in 4K, it's not literally going to take 4K. It's going to downsample that, or it's going to bring it down to something to 720p and 1080p. And so the argument is if you work really well in landscape and know your composition and film everything in landscape and in your editing software, go ahead and just make it work for vertical. You can do that as well. I find when I'm getting into vertical, especially for real estate videography, I can actually save some time when I'm making specifically for reels, when I'm taking some detail shots. I sometimes will take detail shots without switching my lens because I'm always filming in 4K in my editing software. I'm going to be exporting in 1080p and I'll be able to have a lot of room to zoom closer to the different elements and features of the home. Well, that being said, this is the RS3 Mini. It's not the full review. This one feature of being vertical mode is really simple to switch over from landscape to vertical. You can put your camera. I've used my Sony FX30 with a 24mm lens, a 30mm lens, and this is the lens that I use all the time for real estate, which is the 11mm lens, Sony f1.8. And as you can see, it handles the Sony ZV-E10 just fine. So if you found some value in this video, make sure to hit that like button. And if you like content like this one, subscribe. You know what to do. Be safe, stay awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one.